we want the kids to be able to showcase what they can do. So if there's somebody that's on the struggle bus with something, they're going to switch the section so that we can show off all the things that they're working on that they can do. That's what's happening this morning in the other rooms. I'm just waiting for her to walk in. I think we should all give her a round of applause when she does. Be like, not bad. You're almost there. I can see Nurka.
I was just going to ask, does anybody have any questions about today? We're all on the same page. We all read the same itinerary. We feel good. Beautiful. I will let you know, you cannot miss the stage. It's in the middle of City Walk, so just keep walking. You'll find it, I promise.
It's right outside the movie theater.
It's right outside the movie theater. I will give a little tidbit. There is restaurants up across from the stage, so I know a lot of parents camped out there and got a really good aerial view rather than being down on the ground. So you guys can kind of go wherever for watching the show. People are aware that JoJo is performing, so it's going to be more packed than last year, just because it is a public space and we can't. And yeah.
So we hear. I don't know. I don't know.
Allegedly.
If it's her or, yeah.
We had a question.
Is Lorianne out there?
She's coming.
Did you have a question in the back? Okay.
It is, yeah. So that's why I recommend going up by the restaurants. So that way you're not like down in the walkway. Otherwise, you can post up down there. Just know it is foot traffic because that's kind of the center of City Walk. Yeah. Parking, there's a giant parking structure. If you don't have to drive your car, honestly, I recommend a ride share, Uber, Lyft, something like that, so they can drop you off in the front. Versus if you park your car, you're going to have a little bit of a walk. It's not terrible, but just be mindful. Yep. We're recording everything. I believe last year we went live on our Instagram page. Parents are nodding their heads. Yes. So we will most likely do the same thing. But yes, we have everything being recorded by all of our videographers and photographers. Yes. Any other questions?
I don't know if it's true, but somebody did tell me yesterday that if you're parking, if you have your ticket and if you purchase something anywhere at City Walk, you wind up getting, that's true, right? Yeah, some sort of validation off of your parking.
2 hours for restaurants, 4 hours for the cinema. I used to go all the time.
LA local.
I would actually ride the tram up. That's a hack. There's a tram that will take you up from the bottom too if you want to get dropped off at the bottom or if you want to walk there. The tram will take you all the way up.
So the live stream for this is on the Facebook page that you're all a part of, as well as hdedance.com. And then all of the actual videos from all of our interviews are going to be uploaded to YouTube individually. So you can go look for your favorite person. So it's live streamed on both of those. And then you guys should have also been shared on those Google Drives for all of the photos and videos that our team is capturing inside of the classes. So our media team is working on organizing all of those, making sure we have all the photos so that way you can go back and see what your dancers have been doing all week. Yes. Yeah, there's a lot.
Pack your patience. That's what I always say. I'm sure you guys heard, too, that we surprised the kids yesterday with a little audition for JoJo Siwa. And she picked 10 kids that are going to perform with her. And the elites are going to be surprised at 9 o'clock because they think, the elites from 2025, they think that I'm choreographing their number for their performance that they have to learn in 4 hours. But it's Travis and Stacy from the Michael J. Shh. Don't you text or do anything. Shh. Right away when somebody goes, oh! So I'm going to surprise them with that. So they're warming up, and I walked in there, and I'm like, get ready. And they're like, we haven't had Nancy in a while. And I'm like, and you're not. But I think it's going to be really great, especially, is Addison's parents in here? I mean, he's probably going to fall. Yeah, he's going to fall over. So they did a piece in their class yesterday that is, it was from one of his major performances. And the kids went crazy for it. Crazy. So... I love a good surprise. Just don't blow it for me, parents. I only have 45 minutes left to let them know that, but I'm excited. They're going to have a good time. And that's the whole thing, And I know that, even when we get to the awards ceremony, your kids want to be elite. Some of them want to be pros. They want to do this, but not everybody's going to do that this time around. And it's okay. And if you guys don't freak out, your kids won't freak out. It starts somewhere, just saying. So, you don't even have to talk about it right away. They're having a great time. They're meeting lots of friends, and everybody's on a different path. Everybody gets there at a different level. You never know. The things when I was younger that I really thought that I deserved, I can't believe I didn't get that. And months later, it hits you, and I'm like, oh, that's why. I didn't get that because I'm supposed to do that. So please help your kids, because it becomes, high emotions. Everything starts to kick in because there's lots of hours, and then they spend time with everybody, and everybody wants to win, but they're winning right now.
Yeah.
And then we're all going to be on that stage. I invited some other choreographers to bring their kids. Guy Groove is coming out with some of his gangs. Alexander Chung is coming out. Tyrell and Latrina, my pals, they have a studio. They're going to bring some of their kids. So all these kids get to come and perform, and nobody's competing at City Walk. Nobody. So we just get to cheer them on and be silly with all of them, and they're going to meet so many other ones, which is great. Where is she? I should call her.
I see Nurka waiting. She just heard me say her name, and now she's looking through the crack of the door. She's scared. Look, she's coming in. Here she comes.
Yeah. Say my name. Where's Lorianne? Yeah. Oh. Why doesn't she
Okay.
bring the meeting here? She can live stream it. Everybody can get involved in the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, do you guys have any questions for Miss Nancy or us? Sure. Yes. Yes, we have 5 million people that keep them contained. We pretty much keep all the proteges together and pull based on whatever numbers they're in, and then same thing for the HDE kids. So we make sure there's a lot of moving parts. They also have their own security at City Walk. So
Ladies and gentlemen, here she is! The legendary Lorianne Gibson!
hello.
Boom, cack, boom, cack, boom, cack!
Come
And I
on
asked her to come at
over.
8 a.m.
She's a working lady. Hi, come sit down.
Here, sit down. They know all about you.
Come sit.
I gave
come
you a
sit.
beautiful intro.
Make sure her mic
Yes.
is on. Let me turn.
Make sure your mic's on.
Check, check. There we go. Do that one. Hi.
First of all, I am never late. But I'm late today. I went like this. Yeah, you did. No, and I'm definitely never late for this woman over here. So please forgive me. Oh my goodness, I was just
Do it. I already told
with
them.
Europe. I was doing my lighting design, and they're talking slower than they've ever talked my entire life. I'm like, really? You guys want to be this detailed? Usually, you don't give us any time to discuss the lighting. But okay, on today, you want to take your time. Make sure the dancers are lit. Sure. I'm going to get to Belgium, and they're going to be darker than this room. Thanks.
They're kind of already ready.
Okay, great.
There's a
Love
couple-
it.
got
Well,
lots-
we're so
lots of
excited to
fans.
have you.
Thank you for having me.
They already know how
Yes.
humble you are when I say, "What are you working on today?" And she goes, I'm just doing my kickball change." They like it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let them ask. I'm gonna move over.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll just kind of kick it off. How are you? Haven't seen you since October for Industry Dance Awards. For those of you who don't know, Lorianne was actually our Vanguard Award recipient for our 2025 Industry Dance Awards. So what have you been up to since then?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm actually at BB Rexers, a new client, an amazing artist. So I'm off to Belgium to do her summer tour. But everything, right? Scripted, television, creating new opportunities for dancers has been super important to me. So just generating original scripted dance shows is what I'm excited about. Plus, I am launching a dance platform called BOP, which is coming soon for everyone to benefit from. writers, dancers, visionaries like myself who can't find a pathway forward. You know, a lot of the industry only sees us up to a certain point. And then we're like, no, we have more to give. Where are those projects for us to do different types of dance or write our stories, tell our stories, own our stories? So it's taken me over 10 years with an incredible team, 2 people who believe in the vision, and we'll be launching this coming year. It's a 360-degree live streaming platform for
called
all
Bop.
things dance called Bop.
We were just talking about that yesterday about someone needs to create a platform just for dancers, creators that's separate from Instagram. So there you go. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Especially for the younger dancers who maybe
Correct.
aren't ready for a full social media page, but they're wanting to get signed. They want their creativity out there. So we're excited.
Correct. And then the future of them is so they're coming into the space with so much to offer, right? And you want to be able to curate that talent, not just have people take advantage of it. And so it's competitive by design to a Netflix, to an HBO. So we will service scripted, non-scripted, education, fitness, all things dance. Like we do. We lead the culture in ways that sometimes we don't even realize. So I'm excited.
Wow, well,
You guys heard it
congratulations
first.
on
Yeah,
that. That's
thanks.
very
Yeah.
exciting.
Well, you guys will obviously be a huge part of it, as you have been so kind to me, and I'm excited for that collaboration with us and continuing to help support DAC and all the amazing things you guys are doing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Well, this is our parent workshop. So basically, all their dancers have been taking classes. We had Stacy and Travis yesterday.
Oh, nice.
We've had a bunch of people. But this is their opportunity to really hear the behind the scenes of how you have gotten so successful and starting at such a young age, falling in love with performing. Can you take us back all those years and how you really discovered this was what you wanted to do the rest of your life?
I think, well, I always say that I was like dancing in the heavenly realms because my mother had 2 girls before me. I was the baby. And when I came, I put like all these stretch marks on her stomach. So apparently I was definitely kickball changing inside on my way through. And then she put my other 2 sisters in ballet and they didn't like it. And so when I came along, she was like, I don't have enough money and I'm not gonna waste my money because I put the other 2 girls. So guess what, kid, you're not going to dance lessons. And I turned around and I asked. So I was like, please, I want to take dance lessons. And I used to put the towel over my head and that kind of stuff. And so she put me in dance lessons and I never stopped dancing from 6 years old to now. I'm not going to tell you because I'm still dancing. I will jump in a circle at any time and battle anything. Ask Nancy, we dance in her kitchen all the time. But yeah, so I believe that I was born with the gift, the passion, and definitely a calling for me. And so I identified with it very, very young. And people told me that you couldn't have a career. And I was told by many professionals that dancers don't make it, you know, very discouraging. And then the business is set up a certain way. So I'm probably misunderstood a lot because I've broken through a lot of ceilings and broken down a lot of doors with the passion. So yeah, it's been a journey, definitely. I went to Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, studied at the National Ballet of Canada. I can tap, river dance, not just hip hop, but I love my hip hop. I moved to New York at the age of 17, 18, between that. Got on a Greyhound bus from Toronto, Ontario, and went to Alvin Ailey to study. And so that took my life in a whole nother turn. And then I found myself with the gift of choreography. So even though I went to Alvin Ailey and they wanted me to be in the company, I realized that I was really obsessed with Ailey as a choreographer. and Twyla Thorpe and Martha Graham, and how they told stories versus like wanting to just dance in the company. And then once I understood that was what the attraction was, I began my journey as a choreographer and a storyteller. Yeah.
What would you say was your breakthrough moment? The moment that took you from being a student or a dancer to feeling like, okay, I'm here, I'm doing it now, I'm being recognized. What was that moment for you?
Right now in front of y'all.
Right now?
No cap. Seriously, like, you know, I think today I woke up and I was like, oh my God, okay, yay. I think I could be happy. No. Yeah. Every moment is a breakthrough moment,
Yeah.
I think, you know, because I sincerely am really honest when I say, like, just now.
Yeah.
I feel like it's safe to be like, to peek outside, you know? But every moment, from the first time I danced for Mary J. Blige to the first time I choreographed Missy Elliott's famous video to working with Beyonce in Destiny's Child and then her to putting the Jonas Brothers together to Lady Gaga to Nicki Minaj. Every moment just feels like that breakthrough moment, you know? So you think you dance as a judge, oh my God, I'm judging. So I think every moment, for me, some people have those moments, but just every single moment has been a building of, you do have an ultimate vision, or you just like to see yourself in a space where you really say, okay, this is what I get to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So a lot of these dancers have different dreams. Some of them, it's Broadway. Some of them, it's world tours. Some of them, it's choreography and becoming creative directors. How did you find yourself choosing the avenue of, okay, I really want to become a choreographer, creative director. I'm done in front of the camera or up on stage. I'm ready to create. How did you come to that realization?
I don't know if I came, well, I guess I did, but I think that for me, I came from a generation, to your point, Alvin Ailey, National Ballet of Canada, incredible jazz teachers at Steps. I worked at the bagel stand when I first moved to New York to pay for my classes. So there was such a high bar of what a choreographer could be and what they really were. So I think my first opportunity was I was dancing with Mary J. Blige, and there was nobody there to choreograph. You know, like there was like one routine we had, and I started to see the music, not hear the music, which is generally what happens to me. I'll think I'm hearing a song, but I'm really seeing a movie, right? And I hear it later. I just recently really hear music. I always see it instantly. So I asked her if I could evolve what was happening on stage. And I did, and it was super successful the first time I choreographed a show for her. And then I had to stop dancing in order to be taken seriously. And that was very painful for me because I wasn't ready to stop dancing. I had to make a choice. And then I think after choreographing a ridiculous amount of videos and artists, I was on a popular television show, and then I got a call and I met this beautiful young lady, and you know her as Gaga. She wasn't at the time, but I wanted to evolve my choreography, and I saw the whole thing from the costumes to the music to the experience to the branding, and then this is what you now understand is a creative director, right? But it took me definitely some difficult steps to step into the different titles, you know? Now it's like, oh, they come in the game, they do one thing, and they're like, oh, I'm a choreographer. And you're like, okay, survive like as long as you can, and then maybe you can say that, but you know.
Were you nervous or scared when you took that step to be like, hey, can I step in? I mean, what was it that pushed you to be confident enough to like step into roles? Because I think that's a thing for dancers too, is knowing your place, knowing when and where to maybe voice or speak up, but also knowing when to kind of step back. What did that look like and feel like in the moment?
I had an overwhelming sense of we can do more.
Yeah.
I couldn't even dance at the level that it was. So now I became uncomfortable with like dancing.
Sure.
And when I knew, oh, maybe if we go stage left with her and we create this shape, I'm seeing how she wants to move and how do I evolve the experience. We can't just stand behind
Yeah.
her for 60 minutes. That's not what we're going to do, is it? And of course, then you try to find a way to suggest. And I think coming from a trained world, there are different rules. So when I first went to my very first hip hop audition, there was a freedom there that I connected with, that I realized I could tell stories visually. And I think because I was in that era, I was able to create a new style and have a new voice that was a collaboration of technique and hip hop, and be like that girl in
Yeah.
that space where it wasn't just hip hop, it wasn't just street. There was a technique, there was a foundation, there was a why to the transitions, there was a deliberate, intentional pocket that I was choosing. And then on stage, I was presenting it like a ballet, like a pas de deux, you know?
Yeah.
So this was my early journey. So I just felt it so much. I was like, hey, Mary. And she was like, yeah, whatever. You know? Yeah, Laura. You know, everybody would be like, yeah, here she goes again. You know, but I was like, no, can I just, you know? And then the dancers in New York were like a family. So I would get them together and I would be like, try this, try that. And some of them were street dancers, so I remember trying to teach them how to do like a quick change and what stage left and stage right was, and oh boy, what a journey. But she's a huge pop star and I still don't make as much money as her, so.
Not yet.
Not yet,
yet. Exactly.
But maybe I do. No, I take that back.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
It's on its way.
Yeah,
So when it comes to these castings for music videos and tours, obviously all these dancers are hoping to have that X factor, that something special. What do you look for? Because we talk about smart dancers and reliable dancers when it comes to working with artists. And pretty much every choreographer agrees it's hard to get in, but once you're in and you prove yourself, you are that call every single time.
Yeah.
So how do they become that dancer that's not just performing, but the trusted, reliable performer that these artists and choreographers can count on?
I think it has a lot to do with their upbringing as well, you know. I tend to lean to the dreamers and the uniqueness of a dancer. I tend to look for that starship, that one person's bringing in the room that like is not necessarily just about the step, but about how they dance in the step. I always say I look for the stars because I see them as stars. I don't see dancers as just backup, right? So I'll take a risk, and then within that risk, how they respond would be the biggest thing. How much do they want it? How professional they are and committed to giving their best. You know, yes, you got to be on time, and I know I sound so bad because I was late today. So y'all are looking at me like, girl, please. Jesus, not on today. But yes, time is money.
Yeah.
So everyone looks at us, everyone's judging us, so there is a professional standard that we just hope is built into their process, and it makes it a lot easier for us to elevate the vision. But it's that passion for me. Like once a dancer starts acting like they're just dialing it in, yeah, that's definitely not my choice, yeah, that passion.
I want to ask you a little bit about technique versus artistry. We're in a room where our kids are very technically trained. I mean, the things that these kids are doing now is more than what I ever did in competition. I mean, everyone can do an aerial, everyone can do handsprings and all these crazy technical things. But I feel like what's missing sometimes in this new generation is the importance of artistry. And that definitely translates when it comes time to go from being a competitive dancer to now booking the job. What can these parents do to give their kids an opportunity, or how should they be focusing on training that aspect of dance and focusing less on technique?
Wow, that's a tough question, because to your point, they are doing phenomenal things,
Yeah.
right? But it's not about what they do. It's about how they do it and the joy
Yeah.
that they're still tapping into. So I think that it's important to support, are you loving it, or are you feeling like you have to do something from a place of performance? Meaning like, or, technique, my leg has to go this high, or I'm not this. I have to do this many turns, or I'm not that. You've got to constantly talk to the passion, the love, the joy, and make that just as important, I think, and support that, and maybe have them still enjoy dance by going to see it, or just allowing them to be free outside of it, or somehow in their conversation, in the connection, make sure they're watching older dance movies or what inspires them. And then a lot has to do with their teachers too, right? But I didn't come from the competitive world. I only walked into it on a show called Dance Moms.
Yeah, way to start.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I had this ridiculous notion that I was going to try to take the trophy away and make it about them. And that didn't go over so well, because the moms were like, what are you talking about? I need my daughter to be number one. And the trophy says so. And I was like, no, but yes, but no. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I understand it, totally respect it, because technique does sustain the journey. It still comes back to the technique, you know, and in the elevation and in the vision, you know. So it's definitely something that I would never undercut or underrate. I'm trained, that's how I'm able to continue to evolve.
Right.
And even as a choreographer and a visionary, it's my training that allows me to speak all these different languages at different times that I feel has put me ahead of those that don't have, you know. And I'm proud of that. So it's about creating opportunity, and that's people like me to let the performance element, the joy of it, the passion of it, still be part of the narrative.
Yeah.
And get with those teachers like myself. You know, a lot of people are not able to get in the room with those teachers that know how to pull that out of the technique, know how to drive that conversation. You know, that's always been my classes. You know, why will I just continue to be like, okay, let's get this combination this way? You know, how are you feeling in the combination? How are you dancing? How are you letting go of where your leg goes? And how are you dancing through it? You know, there's definitely a muscle that carries that conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
When it comes to longevity,
Yes.
obviously there's ebbs and flows in booking jobs, especially as a new and up-and-coming dancer. How do you advise them to handle the in-betweens of all of these jobs? Because obviously you can go sometimes 6 months with no paycheck. So how do you advise them to continue their training while also supporting themselves or finding a community to kind of help them get to the next job?
I think tenacity and resilience are very important. So I would say, get a job. Get a job till you get a job. You know, I waitressed from 11 at night to 6 in the morning, and then I would go to Alvin Ailey and take my ballet class at 9 a.m. I mean, now, no, I'm like, oh my God, that poor child, but you did it. I think it's okay to sustain yourself as a responsible young adult, even when you're not gigging. There's nothing wrong with it, because once you do meet that threshold of choreographers and directors and casting agents that know your worth, I never went back to the diner. Once I got my first job, thank God, glory to God, I never went back. I only sustained myself from that moment till now as a working dancer, choreographer, creative director, and that I'm really proud of, you know? Everything I do is in dance and in my profession. They still haven't taken me out, guys.
I would love to ask you about just the concept of rejection and just the harsh reality that we're kind of hit with when we move here to LA. And you can be very tough. I've been in rooms with you before. I've been in auditions, and Lorianne is very honest. And sometimes that's really hard for new dancers or any dancer to hear and to feel. What is the mindset, or how can our parents be supportive to our kids by being honest? We had JoJo Siwa's mom on here, and she was like, I would tell her that was not a good performance, and everyone would be gassing her up, and I would be like, it was okay, girl. But how can these parents find the balance of being supportive and lifting their kids up, but also being honest and realistic with them?
Well, I'm only harsh because I'm not harsh. Am I? I don't know. But I care.
She cares.
I care. There's
Yes.
a difference, yes, because
Yes.
there are people that are harsh without any intention or purpose, right? But there is a place where, yes, I don't want them to feel rejection. This is the thing creatively in my mind with my dancers, with my artists. If I prepare you, then we must go. We must win. And I feel like that is a part of my job as a teacher, as a visionary, like prepare them as best as I can, because we're definitely winning and there will be a return. And I humbly have been like really super grateful that most of the new dancers that come through my door first have all have all the successful jobs. They go from me to working.
Yes.
I think as parents, and I know my family would always make me feel like I had somewhere to go no matter what was happening. That they didn't judge my worth by my success as a dancer. If I stopped loving it, if I did feel rejection, they would just try to encourage me to get back up again. If this is what you love, try again. If this is what you no longer want to do, then it's okay. We will pivot. But I think that's the key thing. If this is what you love, then it will be enough. I am a visionary by design and a dreamer. And there is power in your dream and in your children's dream. Do not negate it. Understand it and give it life. You've got to feed that seed. There is power in the dream. That's their God-given conversation. Once they have the dream, they have the vision, you must support it. Obviously, to the point where if you can see that maybe it's a dream that has other legs, then support that too. You know, I maybe could sing 4 notes, and at one point I made a record, but I definitely couldn't sing. And my family would be like, well, you kind of have a good voice, LG, when you stay in the lower register. But they would be like, okay, this has got to go somewhere attached to the dance, right? And so I later understood that I was going deeper into the psyche of an artist to try to understand how to create broader and wider. And I always wanted a dancer to be the star. And it's like, now I'm seeing them get more opportunity from that perspective. Hindsight, which is why I can step into Bop, because I've understood a lot of roles. But I think we gotta support the dream. There's so much power in the dream, and that I believe in wholeheartedly. So to your point, if it isn't looking like that's what they're gonna do, then it's a gentle, okay, keep doing that, but let's start to investigate the acting, right? Let's start to investigate the singing. Let's start to investigate maybe there's an assistant role, there's a support. My number 2 is more important than being a number 1 sometimes, that people don't understand that
Right.
role. Or now, do you want to write? Maybe you're writing about the dance. So there's a multitude of things that come from this gift. And if you see them transition, then encourage that.
Beautiful. Well, let's open it up to some questions from our parents. Yes.
Are there any other options besides an agent or a lot of followers on Instagram to get our kids out there?
Definitely. Bob coming soon. And only because, to your point, I think that there are non-conventional ways that will present themselves and are presenting themselves. And the agents are learning every day how to actually develop talent. Maybe not, maybe. This is a conundrum for me as well, you know? So I think, yes, the landscape is changing. And it's happening in real time. I think more opportunities will come, obviously from managerial roles or different types of agents that really understand the power of the dance. So now they're signing people based on a 360, right? I am outside of a dance agent and helping to create this narrative because there are dancers that, to your point, have a capacity to understand how to act and be, or, you know, sing or develop them as creative directors earlier, or screenwriters, camera operators. You know, some of my Steadicam operators now were dancers, and they're starting to cut through, and it's amazing to see what they can do with the camera on them, and now they're in high demand. And the conversation is, oh, he's a dancer. That's why he can move through as a Steadicam operator. So there are other ways. I think we're in that process. Do I have any direct information? I would say stay connected to everyone here. It's happening. And anytime you have the opportunity to go to some of these conventions, obviously I used to be on the Pulse, which was something that we did to look for new dancers outside of agencies. So there are still some of those conventions that operate like that with choreographers and teachers. Those are the things you want to invest in, putting them in front of those working choreographers who every day are looking for new talent. I mean, I just had, I made a call yesterday to an agency and they sent me some selects, and it was 60 selects. And I was like, I don't like anybody on here. I'm so sorry. This is not appropriate. And then she had to send me another, like, what are the, you know. So to your point, we're in search of it too. So anytime, any convention, invest in those choreographers that are working and that will actually take your child, take your number, and create an opportunity. Most of my Pulse dancers went on to dance with Gaga and my other artist.
Yeah. I mean, it happened yesterday. JoJo and Jess, I believe, were interested in some dancers, not just for the project today, but for future stuff. So again, we had Travis and Stacy. We have up-and-coming choreographers, but also established choreographers that are looking at your dancers like, wow, this is the next generation of dancers, and they're excited to work with them. So pouring into experiences like this is why we do Hollywood Dance Experience. We're bringing the industry right in front of you of, here's everything. We're trying to give you the tools, but most importantly, give your dancers that opportunity. Yes. Yeah, no, you're good.
How important would you say it is for your look as a dancer? I've known dancers who have like their own natural look, and then they audition. Sometimes they don't get it. They chop off all their hair, or they dye it, or they color it something different, and then they get the job next time they audition. So, as a choreographer and creative director, I know visual is important. So, how important is it for the look, and like, do you think you should maybe try to change it to stand out if necessary?
I definitely think it's a part of the conversation, unfortunately, right? And fortunately, but at the end of the day, it's about who you're auditioning for, right? I too had to cut my hair when I was younger, and then I got the Fly Girls. I don't know if you ever know this show. And I was like, yeah, but I cut my hair, and I was like the girl with the Halle Berry cut, and I was like, ow. So, yes, it doesn't have to be drastic, but there must be something that is in tandem with your personality, with your persona, with your energy, right? And then when you're in the room with certain choreographers, it's good to do your homework a little bit. I can see a diamond in the rough. I can look at a dancer and understand what they ultimately have to offer as a result of the dance, right? That's me. And I will know how to inspire gently what's best, or you will then be open to me saying, hey, you booked this tour. I just put this young girl on a tour. It's her first tour. I just got her an agent, and I was like, Pumpkin, we got to do something. This is not happening. So, you know what I mean? We quickly got her together before the artist had too many more rehearsals to be like, what's going on? But it is important. Doesn't have to be drastic. I think it's a gentle conversation so the kids feel safe, you know? But they should begin to understand that it definitely has a lot to do with how you walk in the room.
And like bright colored hair.
The standout thing is,
Do that just to like.
yeah, intention is everything. So maybe you might try it, but the standout thing doesn't really, it might be like, hey, but you should then have to back it up.
Yeah.
You know, is really still the cornerstone of the conversation. And if you want a long career, then it's okay that you take your time developing these skills, because once you're in the room, to your point, once you're here, you're hearing it. Develop these skills, help them develop them. Once they go, they don't ever have to come back. If there's a quick way, shortcuts, it's only gonna bring blood. It's only gonna cause, you know, a reaction if you're not properly preparing yourself.
Yep.
Can I just tell you, I'm fangirling out. So thank you for giving us your time this morning. I literally text everybody on my phone like, I'm getting to see Boom Cat. So thank you for your time.
I'm never late.
Totally fangirling, making the band.
And you saw me scream on everybody for being late and not having her dress on Dance Moms.
I love it. But my question is, because you talked to it a little bit about working with dancers who, you know, are raw. The technique piece is missing. So for a kid who finds themselves in these spaces where they are surrounded with people who've had these years of tech, so they have that look, that star, but they're missing that technique piece. What advice would you give that young dancer to make them feel like they still belong in the room, even though they're missing some of that technique?
I think the power of dance outside of everything is a component. It's an ingredient. And that is what separates you at the end of the day, right? And that's what they can't take from you. What do you have to offer it when it ignites in you is what you're talking about. But in order to sustain opportunity, you have to train, yes. But I think to encourage the fact that you can dance, right? Everybody has something they have to work on. And anybody should be encouraged that they're in the room. This thing that is confidence, self-confidence, no fear, believe in yourself. This seems cliche, but this is the one component that you must never let go of. You must cover your child and encourage them and teach them to believe in themselves at all cost. And this is the one thing that will cancel out any challenge. If you love it, you must believe in yourself, right? If you're feeling a little fearful, let's address it. Let's find a class where maybe you stand out for 5 seconds. Go take something that encourages that, right? And then you put them back in the difficult class. I remember I was very young, 12, and I was dancing with this gentleman in Toronto called Len Gibson. And I was in the class with adults. By this time, I was like really good. So my mother was like, and he started to do the shim sham. He was like real off Broadway, you know, Broadway choreographer. And everybody was like light years taller than me. And they were moving so fast across the floor and in it, shim shamming and and I was like, went home and I was like, no, Mom, take me out. I can't do this. And I am not confident, right? So she was like, oh, whoa, okay, child. So she took me out, and then she said, you know, she asked me every now and then, and I went back to Jack Lemmon, little, you know, all the kids' dance studio, and then I would feel safe again, and then she'd ask me, and I'd be like, and then I go back to Jack Lemmon, you know, where I was like the thing. And then she said one day, I was like, Mommy, you think you could take me back to Len Gibson? And she was like, yes, of course, come on. So I went back and it was even worse. Now Len Gibson, who knew I had talent, was like, oh, you got scared? But I stayed the second time. And I think what deposited in me was something that's unmatched, that I still am today. So I do really believe in speaking and covering your children with encouragement and strategy. Maybe you take them back to move them forward, you know, but you must teach them how to believe in themselves. This is core.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Miss Lorianne Gibson.
Incredible.
And we're looking forward to BOP.
Oh, yes.
Mark your calendars. BOP is coming.
Yes, mark your calendars and do stay connected, because this is a pathway to us. And we are a small family, even though we may seem big. It is a lot to undertake, but this place is people that care, and they will get you to us, and we will find you, because we call each other every day and be like, do you know any new dancers? Just called Nancy last night. So this is a real thing happening in real time. So I'm so glad you're in the room. I'm so glad you made it today. And I know that it's difficult, but I just want to give you guys a shout out and say, stay the journey, stay the course. It is beautiful that you're here to support your kids and give them all the opportunity. It is incredible. And I am a result of a mother that did that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, he muted me. Never mind. Okay. We're going to get our next one set up and we'll be right back.
Snacks up there, okay for us to grab? Yeah. Alright,
So I guess I'm going to be standing up behind the chairs.
so you can be in front, you can be on the floor. I know you like to kind of
Move,
workshop
yeah.
things.
So I'll put this on the on the front so I can.
I have you a clicker here, so it's just forward and backward.
Let me put this down. Then.
Yeah. you'd like, you could keep it on a stand. So then.
No, because I like to
Yeah.
bounce.
This one's on you.
Gotcha.
And then
Where's the on-off switch?
switch on the bottom.
I gotcha.
I think it's on.
Yeah, it's on.
Okay, perfect. I'll just do a little intro and then introduce you. All right. The moment everyone's been waiting for since 2025. All right, friends, it's the moment we've all been waiting for since 2025. If you're a fan of Dr. Jerry, make some noise. This is Miss Nancy's wonderful partner, and Dr. Jerry comes every single year. This is very different compared to what you guys have been seeing so far on this stage. He is going to do a full presentation on how you guys can help your dancers when it comes to injury prevention, mental, physical strength. Obviously, these dancers are athletes, and we want to make sure that they have a longevity when it comes to their career, and their bodies are their instruments. So Dr. Jerry is going to share a little bit about things you guys can look out for, things you can work on during season, off season to prepare your dancers' bodies to be able to do all of the crazy tricks that they are doing nowadays. So let's welcome Dr. Jerry, and he's going to do his full presentation. So I will see you guys in a bit.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the invitation to come back and speak to you all. And really, I got to tell you, in my wildest dreams, I never would have thought that I would come after Lorianne Gerler. That's just, like you don't come after the Rolling Stones, right? You got to play before. But anyway, I'd like to share what I see as a key missing piece in the dance world, because dancers, to me, are the pinnacle of athletic performance. And there's data to support this. And I'm not going to bore you with a lot of this data, but, well, there's one piece of data that I'll bore you with. And dancers are hybrid athletes, which means that they are required to do every technical aspect that every sports athlete out there does. But most dancers see themselves first as artists and next as athletes. And any athletic performance or activities they do is centered around stretching. I don't know. That's not going to do it. We have to understand a little bit of the science behind it, and I'm going to break this down into very simple terms. When we get to the slides that may use some language, everyone just relax. It's going to be explained, take a photo, and then you're going to Google, give me 2 exercises for VO2 max. That's it, and you're going to take a list, pick 2. It doesn't really matter. It all works. And we're going to have to hook up the sequence of how these exercises work so we can achieve maximum output. Because my goal is to take your athlete and put them in front of studio owners and choreographers so they can master what they are teaching. That's it. When you do that, we actually see a decrease with the incidence and prevalence of injuries, primarily lower extremity. And I said a number of times before, and I just want to remind everybody that, excuse me, the female menstruating athlete has greater risk. Day 8 to day 14 in the menstrual cycle, when progesterone starts to go up, you start to see a 3 to 6-fold increase in ACL rupture in female athletes. So I'm not going to talk to your female athlete as to where they are. That's your job. They need to know. The teacher needs to know. And so as they start to progress through and they start to feel tired, and as artists, as dancers, you guys strap it up and go. Most other sports, you start to feel tired. Hey, coach, I'm not feeling good. Sit down. Not dancers. That's a completely different ball of wax. This is where the problem starts to occur. And I'm just trying to bring some awareness so that you can guide your athlete and remind your studio owner that there's real data behind this. So with that, let's get going. Next slide. Okay, so I've structured it this way. So raise your hand if you know how to pick an exercise. Anybody know how to pick an exercise? Bench press, squat? Yeah, so I've got a couple. Okay. Raise your hand if you know how to program a sequence of events to achieve an outcome. Okay, that's awesome. This is not going to be for you because you already know. It's for those who don't know. Next, we're going to talk about inputs versus outputs, the hard work versus the end result. So when you're looking at athletic performance, there's two sides of this coin. There's input, which is how you train and what you're doing, your nutrition, your sleep, your recovery. And then there's the output, which is what you see, the beautiful performance, but nobody really sees the hard work underneath. Then we're going to talk about the easy method to take complicated information and make it simple to understand and implement. There's going to be a diagram, it's a circle, there's going to be some words, and it's okay. I'm just going to define those, and then we're going to show some examples of that. Feel free to take notes, take pictures, and use Google. It's not bad. And then lastly, if we have time, we're going to do blood flow restriction, and it's going to be a demonstration. And that's basically, how many people are familiar with blood flow restriction? Okay. This is a highly underutilized tool for the dance athlete and athletes in general, especially when you're coming off of an injury. Now, the data shows about 70 to 75% of all dancers have a gene which encodes for hypermobility. And that hypermobility means that the connective tissue, tendons and ligaments, are just genetically laxed. It doesn't mean it's not present. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work. That's why you're Johnny Bendy. You can go and do some incredible things. The flip side of that is there's increased risk. And then if you add the menstruating female on top of that, now we've got to be a little bit careful. Does that make sense? And so the blood flow restriction is a way to not load your athlete with too much weight, but you get the same, if not better, outcomes. So with that, let's get started. Next slide. All right, I apologize for not giving you the source on this. I neglected, but this is from an insurance analysis. And they looked at a bunch of different professions in terms of the ranking on the top left over here, overall physical demand index, strength index, stamina, flexibility, and coordination index. Who's number one? Dancers. You mean to tell me that you are an standard exercise, athletes and sport competitors are third? They are more competitive and stronger than fitness athletes and aerobic instructors. Choreographers are coming in at 9th. You guys are dogging it. Time to get out? No. We'll talk after. Okay? Firefighters rank 16th. So this is the reason why I'm kind of pushing this information to say your athlete is actually at the top of the list. And we have to be worried about the inputs so that the output can be what you want. Next slide. All right, we've all seen this kind of a photo before, right? This is our input and output. When I look at social media, when I listen to people talk about athletic performance, not necessarily in dance, but in all sports, what we like to talk about is this beautiful tree and how it looks. But nobody really, really wants to talk about the roots that are in the dirt. It's dirty. There's worms. There's stuff going on there. But without that tree doesn't live. So really, the roots are your input signals, and that's what we're going to cover today. The output is the fine training and the performance that you guys put up, and we go, wow, that is beautiful. That is fantastic. Now, I've treated thousands of high-level athletes, professional athletes. But I'm going to tell you a quick story, personal, to describe this. As many of you know, my younger son plays baseball. and he was a starting pitcher at USC. Coming into his freshman year, he did pretty good. Nothing great. Goes into the summer, he goes into the West Coast League, goes up into Oregon, Washington State, plays baseball, comes back his sophomore year. His numbers get better. But again, nothing fantastic. He's better, but there's no national talk. He got a little injury, and we rehabbed it. From his sophomore to his junior year, he was going to go to the Cape Cod League and play on the East Coast. And we had a long discussion about inputs and outputs. And the decision was to stay back. And you were going to work out, really. You're going to not throw a ball too much. You're going to work on your body. We're going to work on all phases of fitness. He's going to work on your nutrition, and he's going to work on his mentality. Letting him know that the number one predictor for athletic success, okay, is conscientiousness. The second highest predictor of athletic performance is low in neuroticism. So you've got to be on time. If practice is at 6:30, practice is at 6:30. You have to eat, you got to eat. He stopped having a couple of beers and he started drinking just water. He got 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night. He enters into his junior year. Fast forward, he's the preseason National Pitcher of the Year. Going throughout the season, he owns the Big Ten record in strikeouts, which will probably last for 30 years. This season, he owns nationally the most strikeouts in the nation this year. He was the runner-up for the Golden Spikes Award, and a week ago, he got drafted and got paid a lot of money. He didn't. It wasn't a new coach. We tweaked some things. His coaches tweaked some things, but we changed the inputs deep into the ground. Because if we look here, down in here, this is what we're talking about. You go to a new instructor, they may be up in here. You talk to choreographers who are going to clean a show, they have some things to clean up. They're up in here because your input, you can see the output immediately. What we were doing is playing the long game. And so now, my younger son has an idea about inputs and outputs and what you have to do to perform at the highest level. Because I do remember being a parent in your situation, traveling the country, playing baseball, and people would say, do you think your kid's going to play college? God, I'd hope he plays high school. I don't know. And he's getting good. And I kept trying to keep my emotions at bay and be realistic about what's happening. But truth be told, I wanted him to go. I thought he had it. And then things start to get compressed because there's a lot of really good athletes. And if you look at good athletes, all you have to do is pay attention because they always leave clues. They always leave clues. Just watch what they do. It's not going on TikTok or Instagram, because those stories are giving you exercise selection. If you want to do a plie, I want you to do cross hacks, exercises. Don't do pelvic thrusts, do squats. I don't understand that. What are we talking about? That doesn't make sense. So with this, I'm going to have this little demonstration. Now, I'll describe it because it's a big room. So you see these erasers, all right? Some of them are painted black, and some of them are left in that flesh color. If I took your muscle in a long strand and I cut it, and I look down the barrel, it would look like this if I blow it up on a microscope. These are going to represent the type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers. When somebody is selecting an exercise, do you know, are you attacking type 1 or type 2? Most people don't know. They were just told because Johnny Dancer said, this is a good exercise. And there's nothing wrong with fitness. But if you're thinking that you want to go to that next level, you want to be a better competitor, this makes a difference. It's inputs. And with those inputs is the knowledge. So that you're not pushing your athlete to say, you know, water's probably better than that sugary juice. Nothing wrong with sugary juice. It's delicious. But if you're trying to perform better, you have to behave better. Does that make sense? And this is why I've structured this in this way, so that, ooh, one of my muscles fell off. And I've structured this, this program that it's just really easy to follow. And I'll guarantee you, if you just implement this a little bit, it's going to be awesome. That's for your child, your athlete. Of equal importance, if not greater importance, it's for all of you. Because people are really into biohacking these days. They want to take this, do that, take some crazy stuff, but the foundation of your system is off. If you actually just do the foundational systems, things tend to work out much better. If you employ the basic strategies of what I'm talking about, the literature is robust with decreasing incidence and prevalence of all-cause mortality, from cancer to diabetes to glucose handling to inflammation to musculoskeletal diseases. That seems pretty important because as parents, with our children, more is caught than taught. We know we can yell at our kids all we want, but if they see us modeling it, the chance of them modeling it goes up. But it's having you be around to look and watch your athlete perform at the highest level, and you can be proud because you watched them do that. So a lot of this is for you guys as well, because you're spending time, energy, and money to come to these events. And I respect that because I did it for decades. So I understand. Next slide. Okay, nobody freak out. Okay, so this is 8 capacities. One of them is a characteristic, and I'll just try to define that really quickly. But these are 8 capacities that you need to start to master. And if you, whoever sneezed or whatever that would, bless you. And this is the direction of how to program it. This is how you want to do it. So let's just think at the top, hypertrophy. All hypertrophy is you just want bigger muscles. Now, one thing that most people will say is that, well, why do I want my dancer to have big muscles? You may not. But I can tell you, if you talk to a lot of dancers, they may not like the shape of their body. So if you want to make your waist smaller, what are you going to do? Get your shoulders and your upper back a little bit bigger. So visually, it looks smaller because your athlete is also being graded on how they look. Nobody cares what my kid looks like. They don't. It's all about the output. But your athlete has all this input, and they have to look good, and they have to smile. That's a lot to ask for these young athletes. So that's actually a characteristic. You don't have to start there, but it's a good place. And then moving to the right, we have strength, then power, speed endurance, aerobic capacity, VO2 max, lactate threshold, and aerobic base. Yes, I misspelled aerobic base. I apologize. So throw myself on the sword. And I was like, oh, I should just change it. Nah, it's okay. Now, the great place to start is basically hypertrophy. So most people will define, I go to the gym, I say, well, what do? I do some weights, and then I work on my aerobic base. So they can cycle a long way, and they can run a 5K, and they're a little bit stronger. That in no way, shape, or form qualifies you as a high-performing athlete, much less a hybrid athlete. Moving around, we got strength and we got power. Different type of exercises. it's hooked together so that we're hitting all those different muscle fiber types so that you can actually increase how your body utilizes energy. The next is speed endurance, then aerobic capacity, VO2 max, lactate threshold, and aerobic base. So basically, this is just how it works. You're going to start with hypertrophy, and we're going to move to the right, and we're going to move to the left. So we're going to start with hypertrophy. So we're going to say 50% of your workout in that week is going to be spent on hypertrophy. 25% is going to be on strength. 25% is going to be on aerobic base. 1 week. Let's say that's Monday. The following Monday, you make one shift to the right. Then 50% of your exercise that week is going to be built on strength, 25% hypertrophy, 25% power. And we keep clicking to the right. When you hook up the exercises this way, they complement each other when they move in this direction, not the other way. You can still become effective. But if I'm working on power as well as my VO2 max, I'm kind of working at cross purposes of myself. So a lot of exercise classes, they have people jumping around and you're sweating and you're breathing hard, and nothing's really changing. It's because the sequence is not properly set. They just chose exercises that were difficult, they yelled at you, you did it, and you needed to go take a shower, and it feels good, you're a little bit more fit, but nothing really happens. And then the VO2 max, and then the lactate threshold. So you're going to, in every week, let's say week 2, I'm primarily, 50% of my time is here, 25%, 25%. That following Monday, I'm working on speed endurance. When you get into this realm here, this is intense. That isn't fun. This, up in here, okay, it's hard. Lifting is hard. This is intense. And you start to complete this cycle around and around. By the time you've completed 2 circles, you'll watch your athlete. They look different, they move different, and it's injury prevention. So it actually checks all of the boxes, and it takes the mystery out of what exercise selection are you choosing. Well, what box does it go in? Does that make sense? It's pretty simple, right? I just gave you the cheat code, because that's how it's done. We just move to the right. When you move to the left, it doesn't work as well, okay? Next slide. Okay, athlete's exercise menu, applying training variables. That's all what this infographic is, okay? So we can look at hypertrophy. I just put back squats, 3 sets, 8 to 12 reps. Choose whatever exercise you want. That's just an example. It's not difficult. And then we move to strength. I just put deadlift. You can strengthen multiple body parts. Just say strength exercises for upper back, strength exercises for arms, for shoulders, based upon what you're trying to do. But you really can't go wrong. Next is power, and then speed endurance. Aerobic capacity, VO2 max, lactate threshold, and aerobic base. The reason why I put those more technical terms is so that you guys can Google it. Because if you Google, I want exercise to run faster, who knows what you're going to get. But if you tag what's in the literature, the specific exercises are going to come, and then you place it in the appropriate box, and then you just work that program. The second time around, I just choose a different exercise. I mean, why not? I don't like doing the same thing over and over again. And the reason why you probably want to choose different exercises is because you don't know what choreography your athlete is going to be called upon to do. My kid throws a baseball. That's it. He may run to first every once in a while to catch the ball, but that's it. Back to that comparison, your athlete is at the top of the list. That's why it's so difficult. Admirable as all get out, I really do. I think it's awesome. But we're really trying to increase their capacity. Next slide. Okay, so this is blood flow restriction. Okay? I personally will do 2 blood flow restriction training sessions a month. Not because I have any particular injury, but because I'm old and I just don't want to lift that much heavy weight. Because when you lift heavy weight, it increases the tensile strength of tendons and ligaments. Well, that's really good for human movement, and it's extremely important for dance athletes if your athlete is hypermobile. But what do your hypermobile patients, your athletes do? They stretch. That's their warm-up, and that's basically the extent. Or they do some kettlebell swings, right? But it's not directed towards anything. So do not shy away from heavy weight training. Now, heavy for your child, it's going to be different. Heavy for me versus heavier for this guy. He's got a pile of muscle on him. I'm not going to chase that guy. That guy's, he's a madman. So it has to just be strength appropriate and age appropriate. Now, if you say, well, when should I get my, I have a 10-year-old, what should they do? Jungle gym. Remember when we were kids? And it was concrete? You fell once and you realized that you could grab on a lot harder. Now, it's not that way. So 10, 11, 12, you can get them into some yoga, push-ups, body weight stuff. At around 12, 13, 14, based upon the maturity, you can start get them into band work exercises to start to vary the input signal, to specifically target. Now, you could do most of those exercises, that circle, the programming, with your body weight. Now, recently, I personally have been adding 30 minutes of yoga vinyasas because my shoulders are incredibly tight. So I'm not sprinting as much, but I'm doing yoga, and boy, do I breathe hard and sweat. And it feels great. So I'm just tweaking it based upon the circle of where I'm at in the program. And now my shoulders feel way better, and I love it. So you can add yoga, Pilates. So as much as I like stretching, and I think there's a lot of value in stretching, your athlete is getting a lot of stretching in their studios. You don't really need to program that unless you're walking in and you watch your athlete train and they just walk in and they just start dancing with no warm up and stretch. Before I came on, I was looking at this room over here. They were stretching like crazy beforehand. Yeah, that's what they do. That's why it's not there. That's implied that you're going to do that. So the blood flow restriction is a method where I put a cuff on the arm and or the leg, and I blow it up. And I blow it up sufficiently so that it allows my artery to push blood into the extremity, but it significantly slows the return of the blood back up centrally. So it captures the metabolic stress into the tissue. Has anybody ever exercised, you got that burn? That burn? Yeah, you haven't felt a burn like this. This is significant. Now, let's say you can do a 100-pound curl, right? You do blood flow restriction, choose 30. Choose 30 pounds, and you're going to walk out sore as heck. You've taken the stress off the ligaments and tendons, especially if you're coming off of any sort of tendinopathy, tendinitis in the knee, ankle, hip. Put it around here. You can put it on and cycle. Put a little bit of tension, and boy, you're going to get a great workout. Because you're not loading the system so hard, you're not going to further injure. But you're trying to activate, stimulate, not annihilate. So that's what it does. So it's the mechanism of action is metabolic stress. That's why when you are exercising and you feel that burn, it's really not lactic acid, it's hydrogen ions, but be that as it may, that's what's happening. So it's reduced oxygen delivery, increased cellular swelling, enhance muscular fiber recruitment at low load. Increase muscular fiber recruitment at low load. That. So if you're not a big exercise person, start training with blood flow restriction. You're going to get this all at once without having to really load it up and go, that was really heavy and risk injury. Does that make sense? And at the injury rehabilitation applications, this is huge. This is absolutely huge. So if you got a shoulder, elbow, ankle, knee, hip with your dancers, it's incredibly common that something goes wrong. Well, you can't just tell the athlete to stop. At a certain point, yes, you have to stop. But can you work through it? Well, what's the strategy? The easiest strategy is the BFR, the blood flow restriction. You can keep it moving, low load, it keeps the activity going, and you're continuing to make, or at least maintain your gains at what you have already built up. It accelerated return to play, minimized muscle atrophy, and low joint stress. Yeah, we just covered that. And that's really good because, you know, who wants to sit under, well, maybe you do. I don't like to sit under 400-pound squat and go, oh my gosh, that's, you know, I've done this. Yeah, no, I'm done, you know. You know, not even. And athletic performance benefits. Oftentimes, your athlete comes home and they say, my legs are sore, the arms are sore. You can take the blood flow restriction, put it on, pump it up for 5 minutes, and then let it out. Pump it and not move. They're just lying there. You're restricting the flow, so you're creating a pump. And so you're debriding the area that's congesting the tissue, which is giving you discomfort. Hi, Nancy. Did you want water? I would love one. Thank you. I have one hand. Can you? Oh, I'm going to get it later. Check this out. No. Thank you. Thank you, dear. And now here are your strength gains. Basically 20 to 30% of your 1 rep max. So it's really low loads, and you're going to get stronger. And the key features here, precise activation, it's really simple. Now you can use, there are some people out there that use basically a tourniquet for blood flow restriction. I wouldn't recommend that. I would not recommend that. I would recommend getting a system, maybe about 150 bucks. They go up to like $500 and it's on the app and it has bells and whistles and it does the exact same thing. And it's not that complicated to do. And the system is this. You put it on, I'm feeling for the pulse, I blow it up. The pulse stops. Cool. Now I don't have arterial flow. That's not good. That's a tourniquet. Then I start to back it off and I'm feeling for the pulse. And then I go, boom, and I start to feel the pulse. Now my artery is working into the arm. I mark that number down. Let's say that number was 100. I'll take 40 to 50% of that number, and that's your restriction number. So I'll put the cuff on, blow it up to 45 or 50, lock it off, and now start your exercise. And in the beginning, you're like, oh, that feels kind of cool. On your third set, in about 3 minutes, you're crying. Literally, it's intense, and it's effective. So even in the bottom says certified practitioner supervision recommended. I don't know. I just told you. It's really good. Next slide. I want to thank you for your attention, and that's the end. Now, if you have any questions, please ask. Yes?
For the recovery portion, is the compression legs the same result as the blood flow restriction, or is that not the same?
Are you talking about using blood flow restriction as a recovery after being sore? A little bit. A little bit, yes. Now you can get those, leg compressions. Okay, stick with that. You're fine. You're absolutely fine. Yes?
For recovery of sore muscles for dancers, if they don't have access to some of the things that you're talking about, like what's like an at-home type of quick fix
Okay, so if you don't have access to certain devices, what is an easy home, let me see if I got that, sort of easy home remedy that's effective? Epsom salt baths. Sleep. Sleep. Yeah, knock them out. Yeah. You know, bless you and bless you. And, all right. Just 2. Well done. Yeah, so it becomes a very complicated issue in terms of recovery because there's a lot of chemistry that goes into it. And I get a little tweaked when I see these posts and when I'm talking to patients and they're like, oh, I got this biohack. You don't even know how your body works. What do you mean you're hacking? What are you hacking? What are you hacking? Right? You don't eat right, you don't sleep, you're an absolute stress monger, you know? I get this a lot. I'm like, well, how often do you exercise? Well, I exercise. That's awesome. How often? With indignation. Twice a week. Oh, that's not exercise. That's not exercise. We are meant to move. That's the whole point. And your athlete is at the top of the heap. That should be enough motivation, and then for yourself, a significant decrease in all-cause mortality, improving blood sugar and insulin responses, decreasing the risk of falls, musculoskeletal injuries when you train in that fashion. To me, I don't know why this is considered a hack. But I think, as we all know, because we're all adults, anything of value takes work. There ain't no hack. Now, if you are a super athlete and you need to tweak something, I'm a fan of test, don't guess. If you want to change something, run some chemistry, run some labs. The one lab that I think a lot of adults should do is a lab called HOMA-IR, H-O-M-A-IR. And HOMA-IR is the easiest measure, and it's much sooner you can identify somebody who is insulin resistant heading towards diabetes. And that tells you a lot. But if you're just looking at your A1C, that's a 3-month average and it's pushed out. This is an immediate number now. And all it is you take your blood test and you say, Dr. So-and-so, can I get a blood test, my fasting glucose and your fasting insulin? I'll guarantee you most of you have not had your fasting insulin. If you take those 2 numbers and you add it together and you divide that number by 405. If you're in Europe, you have to divide it by a different number because they have a different unit. But 405, it should be 1 or less. I have seen patients with a HOMA-IR of 2.5, but their A1C is within normal range, and there's nothing to do. And when your HOMA-IR is off, you're going to carry chronic inflammation. You can't get rid of it. And it's going to start to hurt. And it's not just musculoskeletal. Where do you think inflammation goes? Arteries. I don't know about you, but I don't have grandchildren. Hopefully I'm blessed one day to have grandchildren, but I want to be around so that I can actually take my grandchildren to maybe one of these events if they're a dancer, or the ball field. Because I do this myself. I'm 63 years old. I'm not telling you to do anything that I don't already do. I get it. I'm tired too. I am. But I try to get my minimum 8 hours of sleep. I try to drink my water. And without that, the recovery portion of it, if you can't recover, you're going to get hurt. It's all about recovery. It's not as much of the selection, but if you can just get some rest. LeBron James, high-end basketball players, Wayne Gretzky, competitive cyclists, they average 10 to 12 hours of sleep per night, and every one of them takes a 2-hour nap. That's a hack. Sleeping is now a hack. The thing that we were born with, right? That's what we do, is now a hack. No, but TikTok's going to say, oh, but you got to get this new thing. Wow. How did you know that? Yes.
For that eight cycle that you have, the hypertrophy, strength training, power training, for our athletes that are trying to become more aesthetic, is there any particular split or any ratio? Like we want to do 30, 60, 70, 20?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Did everyone hear that? It's like if you're trying to improve your aesthetic while using that wheel, that dial, absolutely. So if you are wanting to change the aesthetic, you might want to spend a little bit more time on the hypertrophy side and the strength and nutrition, and maybe back off on the steady state cardio, because I don't think you want your child to eat 3,500 calories. You know, that's a lot of pizza, right? So when you do that, you can actually change it. But this is a general guideline so that you can make really smart decisions for your athlete, yourselves, and your loved ones. So if you want to change it, you absolutely can through that dial. Now, the split is based upon how well you can recover. Now, if your athlete is like, Dad, I don't want to go lift hard, it's power day. Well, then, you know, you got to figure that out, right? Because most dancers are really good with the intensity of the cardio. But when I have them in the gym, probably 80% of the pros, 16, 17 on up, can't do 5 push-ups. And they're continually getting injured. They can't do 5 push-ups. And it's not going, and they say, oh, I don't want to get bulky. I'm sorry, you have estrogen. You're not. I'm trying to get you stronger so that you can go on tour and you can go beat your body up and make your money. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's ultimately going to be about. You have to convert what this is, can you translate it into green? And my son finally got the picture. He's like, oh, you mean I don't have to change pitching coaches? Yeah, you know, not really. Not really. We did make one technical change, just to complete that quick story. Last summer, we sent him to Arizona to Banner Hospital, and they have a pitch lab. And I get this 20-page report back. They measured everything. One standard helical rotation with muscles that were weak and what needed to be happened, right, left side, eyes open, eyes closed. One eye closed, one eye, I mean, it was like second-year calculus. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to have a cocktail. This is like intense. That was the only difference. But what happens is that when your body feels strong and the physical demand that your sport is demanding of you is achievable, the motivation changes. Because there's 2 types of motivation. There's push motivation and pull motivation. My kid was like, I got to go to practice. I got to throw. I'm not throwing well. I got to fight through. I got to fight through. And a lot of times that's what you have to do. When his body got right, 6'3", 215 pounds, he understood pull motivation. He was drawn towards the mound. He was drawn towards practice. He was drawn towards looking at film, drawn towards it because he could see that this was really working. So there's a blend between push motivation and pull motivation. And I do remember when he said, Dad, I might want to quit baseball. I said, go ahead, but you're going to do something. I'm not invested in him being a baseball player. I mean, I'm ecstatic. When people ask me, am I proud of my son? No, I'm extremely happy for him. He did the work. Now, I did a lot of work too, right? It's a lot of work. I am proud of the fact that in my estimation, he's a good young man. If he met any one of your athletes, he'd shake their hand, look at, he doesn't think that he's above anybody else. That's me. That's us. That's like, no, you got to be a good human being. That's what I'm proud of. His accolades are his accolades. And I'm there to clap him and go, wow, that's mine? A little odd. And it happened in a year. And it's going to happen to somebody or multiple people in this room. That's what you just have to count on, because I know you're thinking, you know, your dancer's good, right? Your dancer's good. They're good. Well, what does that mean, right? Against who? How are you going to improve to keep them safe and happy, to move from push motivation to pull motivation? Any other questions? Okay, well, listen, thank you so much for your attention, and enjoy the rest of the outing. Oh, turn the doggone thing off. Oh, no, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jerry. All right, friends, Marguerite Derricks is next. Just give us a couple more minutes and we'll get started at 10 a.m. This will be our last interview for today before we wrap everything up and head over to our Universal City Walk day. If you guys have any questions, let us know now. Make sure you guys are reading your event itinerary on what t-shirts to bring, where to park, all the beautiful things. Thanks, friends. Okay, parents, listen up. So Kristen Nurka says that there is not an official storage area for your dancers' bags at Universal. So there will be places to put water bottles, but as far as a bunch of bags, jackets, anything like that, it will be stored with you. But they can definitely have their water bottles backstage so that way they can catch their breath and grab some water. But any bags, belongings, it will stay with you. Perfect.
Hello. Yes. Are we ready
Yeah.
for my biggest celebrity of the week, my closer, somebody that you're going to wish is going to be here for 3 hours, but I can only steal her for an hour. I know that I already talked about her. Oh my God, I'm going to cry. She's just amazing, and she started my career for me. And, you know, we were just talking about, she has 4 Emmy Awards, and she's done everything, movies, TV, everything. But she's just an amazing human being and an educator like nobody else is going to be here. And I don't cry, but I just love her so much. So please take in everything that she says to you, because she is the most amazing producer, director, choreographer, and human being, which, you know, is big for me. Marguerite, come out here. I don't want to cry anymore.
Wow.
I think my greatest accomplishment in my career is
She's like, I gotta go.
people like Nancy.
Yeah.
You know, I take being an educator very seriously. I love my work as a choreographer, producer, director, but there's nothing that moves my life more than education. And to see the people that have come across my room. I just walked in to see Travis Payne, and he stopped and had tears in his eyes and said, she gave me my first job in LA. And just to see all of my dancers just becoming these major beings of their own. Like, you know, look what Nancy's done here. This is incredible. Yeah, and she's an incredible choreographer and producer herself, and an incredible human being. And so for me, I think that is probably my greatest achievement, is what I've done as an educator and what I continue to do. And that, anyway, blah, blah. Anyway.
No, we're so excited to have you. I think it's really telling that all of the staff here, the second we heard you were going to be here, we all started fangirling and freaking out a little bit, because you truly have set a standard within this industry and been so generous with your time and investing into that next generation and your fellow choreographers and dancers. So I think really what this week is about is preparing these parents to help their dancers get to that next level. Because not all of these dancers are from California and from LA, so they're traveling out from Minnesota, Ohio, Kentucky, and they're hoping to have their dancers have an amazing career out here. So obviously the industry is ever evolving and changing, but talk a little bit about what it was like in the industry as you were coming up and trying to find your footing as a dancer choreographer.
Well, I left, I wanted to be a ballerina. And I left my hometown of Buffalo, New York, with the idea that I was brought up that if you don't make it by 18, it's over for you. So when I moved to New York at 20, I moved there with that in my brain, that it's over for me. And I quickly discovered that I was a really strong ballet dancer, but I wasn't a ballerina. I'm short. I knew it wasn't going to happen for me. And so I had to switch gears, and that was like, oh, I'm in New York, you got to do Broadway. And so I started going to auditions, and then I had to sing, and then it wasn't good for me anymore. So could you imagine being 20 years old, you're already over the hill at 20, ballet's not going to work out, Broadway's not going to work out. I was a little lost, but I didn't give up on myself. And one day a friend of mine called and said, Marguerite, tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, go to the Minskoff Theaters. Debbie Allen is looking for one dancer to bring with her to LA for the TV show Fame. And so I went to that audition feeling like if I didn't get this, I was going to die. And I stood right next to Debbie the whole audition. I think there were 80. It was a closed audition. It wasn't open. There were 80 of us in the room, and she needed one. And I danced next to her, and at the end of the audition, she goes, I know who I want. And we all went home, and I lived in on 9th Avenue, which back in the early 80s was not cute. It's cute now. It wasn't cute then. And I went into when I was walking into my apartment, the phone was ringing, and it was Debbie. And she goes, "Oh, honey, I'm just calling to tell you, you got the job!" And I ran down the street. I was very good friends with Gregory and Maurice Hines, and they were doing Sophisticated Ladies on Broadway. And I went to the theater, and I opened the door, and I just started screaming. But Debbie had already called Maurice and told him that I got the job. So I then got Fame. I played a ballerina on Fame. I sang on Fame, even though they turned my mic off. But I got to do all the things that I wanted to do. And it just wasn't the way I saw it. And so what I tell young dancers, don't give up on any dream you have, but you don't create the road. We're led. I'm a great believer in manifestation. If you have that strength of belief and you're willing to work hard, you will be led. And that was the beginning of my dance career.
So for parents who are trying to learn the ins and outs of this industry, how involved were your parents within your beginning journey of your career?
My parents were very supportive in their belief. They didn't have the means necessarily, although my stepfather gave me 5 gold coins when I was 20 years old to move to LA. And he gave me a phone number, and he told me that I could call this number and sell the coins. So he was constantly trying to teach me lessons. And I think I got $3,000 for those 5 gold coins, and that's what I had to go to New York. And then after that, I kind of had to figure it all out. But my mother always wanted me to be a dancer. She was made sure that I had the best teachers when I was a young girl growing up. But I think once I got to New York and started it, it was like they were there, but it was on me now. You meet, it's funny how life is. You meet angels along the way that just help you. There was a dance teacher, Frank Hatchett, that really was such a guide, and JoJo Smith, people that really kind of took me under their wing, and of course Debbie Allen. Yeah, and she's still my guiding light. I still look at Debbie and everything that she is doing, and she's my guiding light.
So you are a 4-time Emmy winner.
I had to correct them because they put 3 on the thing.
3 of
last year got her 4th.
And here's the thing: why when I started my career as a choreographer, 3 years into it, I started winning Emmys, and I won 3 in a row. And and then I got nominated for the 4th, so 4 in a row. I was nominated, won 3, and you kind of feel like, oh, this is normal. And then 20 years went by. And I was doing Vegas, I was doing Broadway, I was doing movies, but 20 years went by. And then there was a show I did, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. There was a couple seasons that I thought, oh, I was so proud of the work, but I got nominations, but I didn't win an Emmy. And then I was in Paris and New York for 2 years doing a show called Étoile for Amazon Prime. And that's what I won the Emmy for last year. It was for ballet. Wow. I won an Emmy for ballet, so it means so much to me because that was, see how life is? It just keeps coming back around. And so the 4th one, they were all beautiful and everything, but the 4th one was really meant the most to me for sure.
And she is the only choreographer to ever win 3 consecutive Emmys. Yeah. Incredible. Yeah. Please.
History making. So when it comes to these big awards shows, right? Because that's kind of the carrot that everyone's chasing. How does it feel knowing you're nominated amongst greats, but then you're winning in that room? Talk us through that moment, because I think we all love to hear the aha, I made it moment. Was that your moment, or was there another one?
My biggest moment in the award situation was when I won my 3rd Emmy. Debbie Allen was nominated. And when I went up to get the award, I always had a dream that I would stand on a stage and tell this woman what she did for me in my life. Because she moved, she was everything. Without Debbie, I would not be sitting here. And I walked up to the stage, and it was actually, Debbie was nominated, and so was, oh my God, kill me right now, Judith Jamison. Wow. Judith Jamison, who ran Alvin Ailey. Yeah. So I was nominated with Debbie Allen and Judith Jamison, and I'm standing on the stage receiving an award, and I got the award, and I just turned just a little bit, and right there was Debbie, and the smile and the pride on her face is what I'm talking about with my people, like Nancy and Travis and all of the dancers and choreographers that I've met through my career. Debbie is proud of me that way. She knows that she a big old thumbprint, many thumbprints of hers are all over me. So I stood there, the whole audience went away, and all I saw was Debbie, and I thanked her from the stage, and that was for me a dream that came true. Yeah. That was a dream of mine, and it came true.
Oh, you got us crying. This is the first one, I think, of the week. We cry all week together.
I've never told that story. That's the first time I told that. Yeah, anyway.
Tell us about the transition from dancer to creator. What was that like? Were you always a creative, or was that something that was brought out after you were working professionally as a dancer?
I started teaching when I was 12, and I remember always putting on shows, like creating things, but I really didn't know what I was doing. Like I was just, it was fun for me. And I had a wonderful ballet teacher from Buffalo, Miss Bernadine, that was a really incredible choreographer. And I didn't know choreography. I probably didn't even know the word choreographer. But I grew up watching that. And then I was on Fame with Debbie, and at 22, I met someone, and I got pregnant. And I had a son who just got married to one of my assistants. But after I had my son, I just remember thinking, oh, I need to be a boss now.
Yeah.
I need to step it up. And my ex-husband used to say, because he was a theater guy, and he used to say, you can't be in the chorus forever. And so I made a really clear decision at that point that I was going to transition to choreography. And it seemed like forever for me. There was a couple of years of really struggling and trying to figure it out. But within 2 years, my career started, and it's never stopped. I'm one of the few people, and I know this, and I don't take it for granted, and I'm grateful every single day, and I give my gratitude and prayer every single day, that have been doing what I'm doing for over 35 years. As a successful choreographer and now a producer and a director, I don't take that lightly at all. But I just started doing it. I wasn't even thinking about it. I just kept going. Yeah.
I would love to hear you talk more about the balance, the work-life balance of being a mom and being a boss, because I think, especially for us, it's like we love our job so much and we want to do it forever, and we dedicate every waking minute to it. But she has a 7-year-old, and obviously a lot of us want to end up having kids. So can you talk about the balance and being able to do it all? Because it's really inspiring, and I think this generation of women need to hear success stories like yours.
Well, my son turned out great. He's a beautiful human being, but I do think because my marriage didn't last, so I was a single mom, and I didn't get any support, so it was all on me. So I had to work. I had no choice. But I was also chasing a career, and a pretty big career. I had people around me that helped me. I don't know that I had the greatest balance back then, but I would preach it now, because I think balance is very, very important. I didn't have friends for the longest time. And I am the best friend you can have. I learned that it was on me. My friendships mean the world to me. And I am the one who I call every single day. I'm nurturing my friendships because it is so important to me, because I didn't have them for the longest time. I remember waking up on my couch on a New Year's Eve or at 8 o'clock at night, and I just remember I sat up and I was like, I don't know, I didn't think about it. I just said out loud, I want friends. I'm like, where did that come from? I didn't have friends because I had a son, had this massive career. I didn't have the place and relationships either. My relationship kind of fell in 5th place. So, no guy wants to be in 5th place. It doesn't work out, right? So I don't know that I'm doing it great now. I don't know that that was my strong point back then, but I preach it now, even to young dancers. I never went to a prom. I never did any of those things. Like, live life, find balance, take time with your child. I have nightmares where I forget to feed my kid. I don't remember. Like, we didn't sit around the table, have dinner time, find the balance. I don't know that I did it, but boy, I'm preaching it. Find the balance in your life.
So when it comes to breaking into the industry nowadays, with social media being so prevalent, how do you like to search for dancers? Are you someone who calls up a Nancy or a Travis and says, hey, how was your experience with this dancer? Are you scrolling through social media? Are you only accepting agent requests? Where do you kind of fall in hiring?
I was such a social media prude. 5 years ago, I think I got into an argument with my friend Carrie Ann Inaba, like 7 years ago on stage, because I was anti-social media and she's pro-social media. And that's not how I got to where I am. But then I realized, wait a minute, everything has changed. When the pandemic happened, we couldn't go into the studio and hire dancers live. So I had to get videos, and I put together a company of dancers in Paris, throughout Europe, and in New York, throughout the United States. And I was doing it by videos. Well, it's hard with one video. So what did I start doing? Old snobby me. I started looking at Instagram. And I started seeing more of what they do. So what I try to tell young dancers right now is make your Instagram business. If you want a separate one that's private with just your friends, that's fine. Make your Instagram business. Post yourself dancing. Make it business. What I love about Instagram for myself now is I post a lot of the classes that I teach. Like even Nancy, when I came in today, she goes, I didn't know. I'm like, what? I was like, some of the dancers here think I'm going to teach. Why am I not teaching? And she goes, I didn't think you would want to teach. But through Instagram, because I post all of my classes that I teach, people are reaching out to me to teach because they're seeing that I do love to teach very much. So I tell the kids, just to protect them. If you have a personal one, keep it private. But the one that you want to open up for people to see, just make it a business Instagram. And it's so different now. It's just, the business is different. The other thing that the kids have to prepare themselves for is to be mobile. I brought one of my assistants, Julia, here. You can wave, Julia. So Julia lives in New York, and I met her over the pandemic. And she flies out here to work with me. She houses the LA dancers. And when she comes to LA, the LA dancers house her because they're making dancers be local hire now. When I first started to choreograph, if I did a movie in New York, I brought all my dancers in LA with me and we went to New York, and it doesn't happen like that anymore. And the business is not just in one state. It's not even in one country. Yeah. I've been in Europe the past 4 years. I just shot a movie this fall, January, February, and March. I was back and forth to London shooting a movie. The business has changed. So the dancers have got to be willing to travel. They've got to tell their agents that they're bi-coastal and figure that out. Make friends. Dancers, make friends so you have a place to stay. If you live in LA, so that if you work in New York, it's really different now. It's hard to just be from one city and work in that city. I work more in New York and Europe lately than I do in LA. I'm developing a variety show that I'm very excited about right now, and I was so excited because I really want to be home. I didn't sleep in my bed for 2 years when I was doing Etoile, and we were going to shoot it in LA. Well, now they're going to shoot it in New Jersey, which it's kind of like my second home, New York, which is fine, but it's like, okay, and I'm ready. The bags will come out, and there I go. So we really have to be willing to be mobile in this business, to have a real career.
I want to expand a little bit on the social media topic, because along with Instagram, TikTok has also become very popular and has changed a lot of the dance content on what's popular, on what big companies want to see. How necessary are followers versus quality content?
I don't do TikTok. Come
Me
on.
neither.
I just got into Instagram. I can't go down that whole. Yeah, I can't. Actually, my son, when we were doing Maisel, the last season, we did this whole thing on Fifth Avenue. They closed Fifth Avenue down, and we did Pink Shoelaces. It was a number from Maisel, and my son said, that would be a viral TikTok. I'm like, what? So I got my dancers, and we did the PSL challenge, and I think it had like 80 million hits.
Wow.
And Amazon Prime was beside themselves. I never saw it on TikTok. I only saw it on my Instagram. But boy, I mean, it took off. Now, what did that do for me? I don't know. It made Amazon like me more? I don't know. So I guess I don't have the answers for that. Unfortunately, that's for a younger choreographer.
Sure.
But for me, I would always say quality is better. Like, I'm embarrassed by some of the stuff that I see. I have a dancer. I'm not going to name a name. Please, Marguerite, don't say a name. Don't say a name. I have one of my dancers that was in a toile, and he is a brilliant dancer. And he's worked with me on Maisel, on many projects. And he does TikTok. And when I see what he does on TikTok, I'm like, oh no. I'm not going to say his name. No, oh my God, no, you're so much better than that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But I don't want to knock anything, because then I hear, how much money they're making? And that's a different business that I don't know.
Right. And I think that answered the question, because I think
Good.
for a lot of parents in here, they think that their kids need all these followers to have
No.
a social media presence, or that a casting director or a choreographer, they're not necessarily looking for a huge following. What they want to see is quality content. So if you're not getting the followers, keep posting, because what they want to see is not that number.
Absolutely.
It's the
Yes.
content and the quality
Yes.
that's there.
And I would never hire a dancer strictly off of Instagram, but I use it just to see if I need to see a little bit more from them, for sure. But yeah, I don't think the kids should have the pressure of how many followers. I'm not. But somebody else might have a different answer, but not for me.
When it comes to styles, everything is evolving, and we're seeing new kind of pockets of contemporary or pockets of hip hop come out. How have you always stayed true to your favorite genre, and how have you experimented and educated yourself in other areas as well?
Well, for me, it's like, as a creator, and I would say the same thing for a performing artist, we should be able to do everything. The more you can do, the more opportunities you have. So when I get a job, I don't create off of what I necessarily, I think I'll try this style. I fulfill the project. So with Maisel, we were doing the late 50s. Mm-hmm. With Etoile, I was putting my spin on ballet, making it edgy and infusing a jazz energy to it, which I was so excited about. But it always has to go, what is the project and what does a project need? What is the era? And you have to be able to do everything. Like, I like when people see something and go, oh, I knew that was Marguerite Derricks, but I don't want it to be because I'm a one-note person, because I wouldn't be here 35 years later working as much as I do if I only had that one style. And so I think that is for dancers, like for the kids that I know they love contemporary and it's cool, but there's not I don't know how much work there is out there for contemporary dance in TV and film and on Broadway. There's some, but don't just do that. Right. Do everything, because then you give yourself so many more opportunities. He's not here. I heard he was going to be here. Connect. Anthony Carr. I met Anthony Carr when I was doing the remake of the movie Fame in 2009. And the thing that sold that movie internationally was they filmed my auditions. And these dancers, these young dancers, they came in, they did ballet, they did hip hop, they did jazz, they tapped, like they did everything. And I did a freestyle, a ballet freestyle across the floor. Oh my God, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. These kids were monsters. They did everything. They did everything. And that's what we want to train our dancers. The more that they can do, the more opportunity they're going to have. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about the difference between a stage tour dancer, someone who's working with like music artists in the music industry, versus television and film, because they are a bit different, and how a dancer might go about getting into that. Because I feel as a dancer that moving into a space of being SAG changes the game. It changes your rate, it changes your treatment, it changes your payout long term. How are is that something that dancers should focus on? Are there different agents that dancers should get involved with if they do want to prioritize becoming a SAG dancer?
Let me just say this, and this is for the parents to educate our children early. Thank God for my agent, Julie McDonald. Because there's no union. Well, now they're getting it together. There was no union for choreographers when I started. So in the early 90s, when I was doing 3 different movies a week, she had me on a SAG contract. All the Austin Powers movies, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, like every movie I did since the early 90s, she had me on a SAG contract. And 5 years ago, another agent said to me, oh, you got a great pension. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, you have a great pension. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, go look on SAG. And so I signed up to SAG, and I saw that all of those years, all the years that I've worked as a SAG, on a SAG contract as a choreographer, well, I just start getting a very cute pension in February. On the 30th of each month, it lands in my account, and I'm like, whoa, this is for the rest of my life. And every young dancer I talk to, I tell them, go, if you work on SAG, go and just count your pension credits. I have never paid for health insurance because I've always been on a SAG contract. And you see how huge that is today. So we need to teach our young people that, yes, if you become a SAG dancer, if you do TV and movies and you get these SAG contracts, you are building on a pension. Then I went to Broadway, and I started doing Broadway, and I joined the SDC. Well, in February, I started getting an SDC pension. So this is something I didn't know I was building, but I'm trying to put it in the minds of the young people, because yes, there's a business to what we're doing. Yes, we love it, but you can make money doing it, and you can build a future doing it. So I'm not saying don't do the work with the artists, but yes, Get those SAG jobs. Make sure that your agent is getting you in for TV and film. And my dancers, my young dancers that are around me, I'll call from New York and the LA kids, I'm like, hey, I got a SAG job. I'm on a plane. And they fly in because they know the importance of that. I didn't know, but thank God for my agent who was looking out for me. And she's like family. She sat at the family table of my son's wedding, and he invited her. I didn't invite her. I love her. She has become like family to me, but she looked out for me since I was a young girl. And I'm trying to pay it forward by teaching the young dancers that. So parents, like, really talk to your kids about that. It's a business, and they should make money.
And that's great to hear too, because I think one of the worries from parents and one of the misconceptions is broke dancer life, you'll never make any money. And that's not necessarily true. There are ways to make money and have longevity and have things like pensions. I mean, how many people in here knew that you could get a pension as a dancer? Okay, right?
Yeah.
So there are lots of things that we can do to put ourselves in the places, and it's about making smart choices and make sure that you're going for the right jobs and that you have the representation to put you in those rooms and get those spaces. And it seems too like once you start getting those SAG jobs, a lot of people continue working with the same crews, the same teams, and then you build that longevity and consistency.
The woman that I did Etoile with, I did Gilmore Girls with her, Bunheads with her, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel with her, Etoile with her, and I just shot this movie in London with Ryan Reynolds called Eloise at the Park. So that's 5 projects. So I've been working with her nonstop since 2012. We do build relationships, and that's why I always tell dancers, do you want a job or do you want a career?
Yeah.
And it's how when they get that job, every single job that we do is an opportunity for maybe 20 more jobs. So when they get that job, I'm notoriously early. I was standing out in the parking lot a half hour. I can't be late. I'm notoriously early. I always do my homework. I come in prepared. So it's how we work that keeps us with longevity. I worked with Mike Myers for 16 years. We did 5 movies together, multiple TV shows, and now I'm here and we're gonna do Austin 4, which I can't wait if that happens, but we're a team. And it's just, I work with the same people over and over and over again. My dancers, I work with the same dancers over and over and over again. Because once I know that I can trust them on a set, and that if things change, I know that they're going to be able to just go with it, right? Yeah.
I mean, that's the point of this setting and this environment for the week, is they're getting the opportunity to hopefully make lifelong friends and build those connections with the choreographers we're bringing in, and building the tools to set them up for success. And it really does take a village. And every single person that we have spoken to this week, they name countless names of the people that helped them get there. And so I think feeling like it's all on you and you have to pave your way, obviously you need to stay the course, like you said, but you need to be able to let those people guide you and bring you in for those opportunities. And sometimes you do have to make sacrifices, I think a lot of times kids are so set to a schedule, and the second they get into LA, into the industry, they're realizing, well, how do I prioritize this job and still do this? And, trying to put all their eggs into one basket when they should maybe look into other opportunities. So how would you say these dancers should pick and choose when it comes to jobs, rather than just hopping on to the next one? Where would you advise them?
Well, first of all, I don't know how much hopping on to the next one there is these days. Right. So I don't think that they're going to be turning down work, to be honest with you. It's different. It's just different. 10, 15 years ago, we were killing it here. I mean, literally killing it here. But it's the baskets is what I like. Don't have one basket. The more baskets you can have, and I tell every young dancer, have that other thing. My other thing, I am never unemployed in my life because I love teaching. I have always loved teaching, but it's also been a job for me that has kept me in times where I'm not working, that I get to do that. So they should have something else. So they're not just relying on just the dance, because it ebbs and it flows. It ebbs and it flows. And when they make the money, oh my God, there was a young guy in a toile. He was dancing for the lead. And oh, he and his wife, I mean, they were going out for dinners that I don't even pay for every night. Like, I just saw them like spending their money. And one day I just said to him, tell me to stop. But I have to say this because my heart is screaming, please save your money. Because it's not going to always be like this. And on Etoile, we were bought for 2 seasons. So he was counting on season 2. And they didn't give us a season 2. And I worried about him, like, oh my God, is he okay? And now they're having a baby. I mean, he's a hard worker, but save your money. Just because once it's flowing, don't go out and go nuts all the time. Always save your money. My mother said to me, I hope by such and such an age that you pay your house off. And I did. 5 years before she told me, she hasn't paid her house off yet. I'm like, Ma, you told me. She goes, yeah. But so I took things like that seriously. It's like I don't live in, like, I've lived in the same home for 26 years. I don't need to go bigger and better. For me, it's about peace and that I can always take care of myself. You know, and sometimes when the young kids start, especially when they go on tours with these big artists, they're making good money. They're watching this person that's making a lot of money. Yeah, I got a little messed up when I was traveling with Demi Moore on private planes. I thought, oh, this is the only way I'm flying. Oh, no. Only when you're with Demi, right? So they get caught up in that, and they start spending the money, and then the job's over. The sooner that they learn about saving, finance, you know, high interest savings. It's not Bank of America. You know, like the things they need to learn about money. It's the same thing with sports. I love football so much, and I used to hate the stories about these football players that made all of this money, and then when their careers end, they're broke. Like, that is so sad to me. Who did not teach them? What mother didn't tell them, pay off your house? You know what I mean? So all of that is important, I think, for sure. And as many baskets, but at least there should be one basket that is something that they control, that they're not waiting for somebody to give them a job. Oh, photography, whatever it is, that basket should be their like the just in case. Yeah.
Absolutely. I will ask this. So in terms of all of your accomplishments, one of the things that we have loved about all of our guests and all of our choreographers is just the human connection between the star and the name and the person behind it. Can you share a story of maybe one of the past artists or celebrities that you've worked with who maybe you thought had this huge name, this huge aura, and really was that down-to-earth person that you connected on a deeper level? Because I think that's what these families are really enjoying is seeing is, you know, we have Lorianne Gibson, we have all of these amazing people like you, and hearing their stories, I think, just humanizes them. So is there any big celebrities that maybe have a diva reputation or may seem bigger than life, but really are just the most down-to-earth people you can imagine?
I honestly have been very blessed in my career that I feel like most of the people that I've worked with have become that. I had a moment with Will Ferrell. I think I've done like 4 or 5 movies with Will Ferrell, but we were working on Semi-Pro. And, you know, Woody Harrelson and Andre 3000 were wearing these crazy outfits. And from Mike Myers, early on, I learned about comedy. And it's not about trying to be funny, but finding something humorous. You know, Mike would see a ballroom competition and find something very humorous. And then when we put it on him, it was funny. So I was on Semi-Pro, and Will came in with this he was a son, big sun outfit, and he sat down and he was looking at the work that I did. And I never really, this was like my 3rd or 4th movie with him, and I never really had that moment of connection of really talking to Will. And the director was trying to get me to be funny. And it just, I was having a hard time like telling my boss no, because it won't be funny. And Will sat there and he got up and he goes, dude, no. What she's doing, she's making them dance seriously. Look at us. That's funny. Don't try. And so he said everything that I wanted to say, but as the only woman in the room, was having a hard time that day. Because it's, the director is my boss, so it's hard. I was, just having to say no to this guy I'd never worked with before, and Will did it. Yeah. Will did it, and I was like, oh my God. And, it's just so, they are human. Angelina Jolie, I was doing a tango number for her and Brad Pitt on Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Yes. And the first day of rehearsal, they were nervous. Actors are nervous. I always tell dancers who want to be a choreographer, learn how to teach, because working with actors is like working with 5-year-olds. It is. You have to break it down. You have to teach them. You have to make them comfortable. Well, Brad got to rehearsal first because Angie was running late, and we were sitting there just talking. And then Brad said, well, show me what you're thinking. And so I got up and I started dancing because I was dancing that day, because if I knew I was going to end up in Brad's arms, yep. I was not going to have my assistant doing that. So I got up and I started dancing with my partner, and Angie walked into the room. And I could tell that made her angry, because Brad was watching and we started without her. And so it got really, really weird. I said, okay, let's go. And she kind of came right, like, face to face with me. And she goes, I want to know the story of the tango. And in my brain, I'm going like, what? So, and then I started to kind of talk to her. And then I took my partner and put him with Angie. Oh, I think I grabbed Angie. And I said, it's like this. And I started to move with her. And then I got my partner with her, and I got with Brad, and we started dancing, and she loosened up. She calmed down. But when she started walking face to face with me, Brad and my 2 other assistants, they all backed up and left us in the center of the room by themselves. And I was like, oh my God, what is going to happen here? And then the next day, the director of the film, he and I didn't really connect. It was the only director ever in my career that I didn't really connect with, because I found out later on he said he was nervous about shooting the dance, which was weird for me. I was there to help him, blah, blah. Anyway, he wanted to change or have them talking during a certain movement that I had them doing. And Angie came up and stood beside me and put her hand on my shoulder, and she said, no, the dance tells the story. So it was just such a turnaround from like the day before, when it was like the Twilight Zone, when I was, just standing there face to face with her. So it's really about, I realized they're just nervous and they need to be made comfortable. And that's what we are as choreographers. We're there as cheerleaders. We're there to make them comfortable, and everybody's human. We're all the same. We're all the same. We're all the same.
How have you been able to stay grounded? And you mentioned that you like your peace. I think for a lot of people who come out to LA to pursue a career in the industry, a lot of times you see people being just swallowed by the lifestyle, by the parties, being around celebrities, living beyond their means. How have you been able to keep your composure being around these huge stars and names and living this lifestyle, but staying grounded in who it is that you are?
My favorite question. I'd never go to the parties. I don't party with any of the actors I work with. I don't very rarely go out. Amy and I have been working since 2012. I think she flew out to Vegas when I was doing a Vegas show and took me to a Britney Spears concert. That's the most kind of like hanging out that I've ever done. For me, I always tell people hanging out at parties, that's not going to get you jobs. That's not going to build your career. You know what builds your career? And he's not here, and I thought I was going to see him. Anthony Carr, Connect. Every once in a while, I get a text from him. Hey, Coach, how you doing? How's your summer going? Was just thinking of you and wanting to check in. And a couple of times when I got the Hey, Coach message, I'm like, oh, my God, dude, I have a job tomorrow. Are you available? He's planting seeds in my brain and in my heart. That's how you do that. But it's real from him. I never feel like he's trying to get a job. He really, he cares about Coach. He calls me Coach. He cares about Coach. I don't go to the parties. I don't hang out. When I was in London, Amy asked me, oh, are you going to the wrap party? I said, no, girl, I'm getting on a plane tomorrow. I'm going home. I always was going home. At the end of the job, I was going home. Most people I worked with, they didn't know about my lifestyle. They didn't know I had a son. They didn't know the personal side of me. They don't need to know that. They knew who I was as a creative person. They knew who I was and what I was going to deliver on the job. So I don't recommend that to anybody, really. I think to me, the private plane stuff, she became like a bit of a girlfriend, but I didn't go to parties. I hung out with her a little bit as a girlfriend. Right. And that was natural. It wasn't because she was Demi Moore, because when we were together, she had overalls on, and I had, we were just two girls that kind of connected. We were the same age, all of that stuff. But I think the party thing is a trap.
Yeah.
It's a trap. And for me, it was just always about, I got to get my sleep, because when I sleep, I feel good. Yeah. And I want to go to work, and I want to be, like my grandmother would say, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. And I think that's what's so important for these dancers to hear and learn, because obviously they're seeing everything on social media now, and who's the cool crowd, and if I can connect with this person, then that's going to open this door, when really it's just, you have to just grind it out and continue taking class and building that foundation and trying to get whatever job you can, because like you said, today is a totally different world. Yeah. And just because you book one giant massive Gap commercial doesn't mean that you're going to be consistently working after that. So finding out who you are, and I think a big conversation is always dancers' identity is dancer first. Yes. For so many of us, it's I'm a dancer. Yeah. Who are you outside of dance? Who are you in your community, in your circle, to your family? Because that's really the community in the village that's going to help you get to where you want to go. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because everybody wants the same job as you. Everybody in here, all these kids, they want the same things, right? But it's finding the people that are going to build them up and not compare or sabotage or, just not support. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and open it up to some questions. Do we have any questions for Marguerite? Yes.
I don't know that competition is preparing our kids for a career, but it is giving them, igniting a spark of desire to perform. I think that the focus of just preparing for that competition is a thing that worries me a little bit about training. Mm-hmm. is to spend most of the time doing the same routine so it is ready to win awards. Our youth should be training in, ballet and jazz and tap and like just really getting a wide range of dance. Like I was the Instagram snob, I used to feel differently about the competition thing. I think that there's something there for them for sure. So I don't want to like just slam it down. But I think it's important for the parents to make sure that their kid is getting all of the vitamins that they need. And the award, that's tricky too, like, because there's such a hard thing when you don't get the little trophy, right? It's not just about that. We're artists. We're there to perform. I never did a competition in my life. I never danced in a competition. We did performances, but I loved performing. And when I see the kids in these competitions, I see that they love performing. So I'm not going to knock it down, but I just feel like it's very important for them to get really, really, really good training. And on the side of the musicality and all of that stuff, yes, that's very important. But the cleanliness is important too. If you Google me and watch the work that I do, my dancers are clean, baby. They are clean. That is important for film and TV and stage. When it's not a solo, it is clean. And I had the hardest time with my Parisian dance company at first because they were all principal dancers from all over Europe that I brought together to make a company. Woo! They were not used to dancing with somebody else and looking like that other person. It was tough, but we got there. We got there. So I think it's all important. I would never say that for me, one is not more important than the other. I feel like the musicality thing, some are just born with that natural thing, but I find some young dancers as they come into like a place like LA or New York and they start dancing, they pick up on that. They see the importance of that. It's never too late. It's just never too late for anything. But good, solid training, that will never let you down. That will never let you down. Did that answer? I hope that answered your question. Okay.
Another question? We're good. One more, sure.
This is our first time at HD, and we're talking a lot about industry preparation for people that want to be in the dance industry as kids. One word I have not heard at all is college. And I'm wondering if there is a place for college, whether that's a business degree or a BFA, or is that experience valued in the industry, or is it something you would not enjoy?
Love this question. So, I'm constantly learning and growing. I thought a certain way about Instagram. I thought a certain way about competition dance. I thought a certain way about college. I did not go to college. Fame was my college. About 6 or 7 years ago, I got called to do the jazz festival at U of A. Oh my God. I was there. I was so impressed by what this program gave to the dancers. I wanted to turn back time and go to U of A and experience what they were experiencing. Because, for me, when I didn't go to college, and I say Fame was my college, it really was a little safe place. For a couple of years, I felt like I was in school. I was with Debbie Allen and this group of dancers, and we were in a studio. It was like that. And sometimes at 18, 19, 20, we're not ready for all of this. And so to go to a school like U of A or some of these colleges that have these great programs, you come out, what are you, 21, 22? You're still a baby, but there's a strength of life, and you got something else in your pocket. And I say yes. I think it's a wonderful thing. I absolutely, that turned my, and I went back to U of A several years, and I just, every time I went there, I just dreamed about what that must have been like, because I think it's wonderful. I really think it's wonderful.
I also will add to that. Last year, we did have one of the co-directors and creators of the Gloria Kaufman program here. So she spoke a lot about that process. But an example that you guys might know is Ava Wagner. I think that's a great example, obviously in her own lane, but she was put on the map because of Ohio State. So she went that route, and now she is teaching on Press Play as a teacher, and now she's getting gigs. I believe she's on Derek Huff's tour this year. So that's a completely different avenue, and she's still getting to be in the industry, but she got to have that college experience. And I think right now we're seeing a really big mainstream pop of collegiate dance, with UDA being viral, and you're seeing the Minnesota-Ohio State rivalry. And I think a lot of these dancers are really wanting that experience. And I think a lot of it has to do with maturity, because is your dancer ready to make breakfast, lunch, and dinner, drive themselves to auditions, do all of the things, versus being in a dorm, having a set schedule? And I think it's a lot of it is what's best for your dancer. Is your dancer someone who loves to grind and study and likes that education process? Or is your dancer the one that you have to plead to do homework with every night? Because where are they going to be the most successful? I think that's huge. But I think this is a really interesting time for collegiate dance right now. And because it's so on the map, these kids are starting to get those industry opportunities, which was not a thing a handful of years ago.
Right.
So here at Hollywood Dance Experience, we do not have a specific graduating senior scholarship. However, we're a part of CAR Productions. So if you guys attended any of our national finals, whether it be CAR or Rainbow within either of those brands, at our showcase, we do a college scholarship for a graduating senior, and that's done through a letter of recommendation as well as a college essay. So we do provide those opportunities within the CAR umbrella, but here at Hollywood Dance Experience, it's very industry-based. But never say never. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any other questions for Marguerite? Yes.
Absolutely. It's funny, like, I'm a choreographer, but I was never a great freestyle dancer. Like, because my thing is really in the studio thinking things out. And it is asked for a lot at auditions. And even, like, for me, like, there's TV shows that I do that I might need a dancer to make their way down a staircase and across, and I love when a dancer just has that freestyle, and they bring a different energy to the work that choreographer has. So some dancers they just do it. They just do it. But I tell the other dancers that don't just do it, go in and have something worked out. Have something, work on your freestyle, so that if that is asked of you, because sometimes that's the last thing you do in an audition, and if there's 10 people there and you only need 8, it might come down to the freestyle. Mm-hmm. It might come down to the freestyle. And and that freestyle, by working on their freestyle, maybe they're discovering that there's a choreographer living within. Mm-hmm. And that is such a natural transition for so many dancers, is to become a choreographer. So I would definitely highly encourage it, for sure. And I do, a lot of times when I'll teach choreography, and then I'll leave like 4/8 at the end, and then I let them freestyle. And then I'll talk to them about the freestyle and then let them do it again, just so that they get an idea of, what works and what doesn't work. But yes, I think it's very important.
We'll do one last one.
You said training is very important. My daughter actually took the Joffrey program with you last year at Long Beach.
Yes.
But how do you determine if a program is legit? Because there's so many training programs out there. I know Joffrey.
Yeah.
Look, I guess the thing to focus on is the faculty they bring in. It's like checking out who's on that faculty. That would make it legit to me. And legit for one person, one faculty is better than another faculty. It's like, what do you want from that? Do you know what I mean? And there are so many, but I'll have to say this. There are so many. Somebody asked me the other day, what inspires you? And my answer used to be different. And my answer, without thinking about it, I said, watching the creatives that are out there now. There's so much beautiful talent out there. So all of these different programs, they probably all are legit. And you know what I mean? They're just bringing in different people. But just focus on, are those the creatives that you want to be learning from during that time? But I just feel like there's just so many amazing choreographers and teachers out there right now. It's just, there's a lot of us. Yeah.
Well, thank you for paving the way and creating opportunities for so many individuals who are now passing the baton and creating new opportunities for the next generation. So let's give it up for Marguerite Derricks one more time.
Thank you very much.
Four-time Emmy winner. Thank you, Marguerite.
I'm going to try to make it to City Walk. I'm there watching a movie at 4:30, so I might sneak out and then watch the kids dance today.